Okay, the recording has started. So this is the June 19th, 2018 Rook Community Meeting. And we'll start off with the agenda item of the 0.8 milestone. All right, so last night, the Cockroach DB operator in implementation was merged into master. So that item is now done and ready to ship with 0.8. We have a number of other tickets that are in review. We have PRs open for them. Let's see, is Tony online right now?
Looks like he just joined.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool. I think that there is not much else left at all, Tony, for the Minio operator, if I recall. I think there was like one thing that I saw last time, right before the weekend, about like the documentation hierarchy, like where the docs go in the navigation. I think that was the only remaining item that I was aware of. Is there anything else that you know of, or did you already take care of that?
no, I think that was it.
And you already addressed that?
No, I got wrapped up with other stuff yesterday.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so then let's take care of that, and then we can, rebase off master and squash all the commits, and then I think we should be good, unless Travis saw some other things that he wanted addressed.
I haven't looked at it for a while, so I'll look at it again when it's ready. Or if it's basically ready now, I'll take a look today. I better look today, actually, because I'll be off tomorrow.
Yeah, you better.
I better.
All right, cool. Thank you. All right, so let's just see what other PRs and things we have in review for 0.8 that are of importance. Let's hold off on the OSD per device real quick. And Travis, can you address the general category of OpenShift and security bugs?
Yep. So the security security model has a PR open. It's just waiting Bassam's review, as I mentioned in our last meeting too. So he's a busy guy. So we're just I need him to review it. It's in a good state.
Travis,
I made some updates. Oh, there you are.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm here. Can we spend after this call? Can we spend half an hour going through it? I took a look.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Perfect. And then the OpenShift changes will just need a little bit of rework on top of that security model once that PR is in. So they're both on the verge, well, depending on how our review goes.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we don't feel that that category or those set of tickets there are at any large risk for 0.8?
I don't believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so Alex, on 17.08 for node cannot be removed from the cluster when its usage is 0. That was a pretty simple fix. Did you finish up everything there and you're just waiting on approval from one of us?
No, I didn't got to it on the weekend. I'll look into it on the next weekend because you kind of commented that we should, convert the JSON number to real integers, then compare them and not, do a string comparison in that case. So I'll still have to do that and then test it.
Okay, cool. So this, I'm not too concerned about this issue in terms of its scope because it is really small scope to change. So cool, thank you, Alex. So then 1656 of one OSD per device, one OSD pod per device. Wyman and Travis, you guys I think are both online here. Do you want to talk about that and especially with what's left and risk for 0.8 milestone?
Yeah, Wyman, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure, go ahead. You have to. There are lots of recent work.
Okay. So last week Wyman was out, so I took a look at it for a couple days. In its current state, I feel like it's in a good place. I'm not sure there's any blocking issues remaining. The upgrade path is working from my testing, and that was the last risk area. I felt like the one main issue really, it's really independent of this, but related, is 1776, which is in the in progress column. That one means that during upgrade or OSD restart, in some clusters, it's not clear yet, sometimes the disk ID is not recognized, and so we blow away the old OSD and put a new OSD on it. So that one is a blocker for 0.8. We need to understand that one. But for this, the one OSD per pod, I'm not sure we need to have that block this PR. And I'm even thinking or wondering if we could, it makes sense. Let's complete our testing, and if there's no more blocking issues other than that independent one, then we go ahead and merge it and get more eyes on it, and every broader testing so we can get to 0.8 sooner than later. So Waman, what remaining issues do you see with it?
Yeah, that looks good to me. Thanks.
Yeah, nothing else you see? Okay.
And so Travis, you're saying that 1776 is that's in master, that bug is in master?
That's right. Mm-hmm. And another thing with that is I tried, because we didn't see this before we moved over to UDEV ADM in master a few weeks ago. So I tried reverting it, the UID discovery logic, to use SGDisk again instead of UDEV Atom. And it, in my environment where I reproed it, SGDisk also had problems in that cluster. So I need to investigate more, and Waman was going to look at it, but yeah, it's not clear yet.
So instead of the which tool it is that's doing the discovery, do you think it might be possible that we're missing like a volume mount to some location on the host that's necessary to be able to read that information?
Or some privilege, or I was wondering, is it SE Linux? But SE Linux was disabled in my test environment, so wasn't that. Anyway, yeah, it's not clear yet. And there was somebody commenting with the repro of this issue, or a couple people commenting on that issue. They were responding to, so we need to get their input on, or maybe have them try the SGDisk private and see if that makes a difference for them either.
So either way, this particular issue is one that must be fixed in this milestone, and
yeah,
it's a regression from 0.7. Those releases, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So the one OSD per pod. Well, I mean, there are a couple of work items, to check on the PR. I can't remember what those were. Any of those blocking? I think one was something Sebastian suggested.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's another one too.
Check that the device is being held by some other processes. It's something we can enhance, but it's not something we definitely need for now, because the default behavior doesn't change. The enhancement is going to help us to identify if the device is truly being free or empty.
Yeah, so that's not really related to this PR. It's a more independent issue or improvement.
I recall some discussion about the integration tests and using devices and restarting an OSD during the integration tests. There was some effort that you had done on that, Travis, and it was dependent upon the one OSD pod per device work to be also merged. What's the status of that? Should we be tracking that here as well?
Where do we get with that? Well, I mean, I think you were going to look into that actually, and I'm not sure that we got that. Got that working.
So for the integration test, it is best to have the devices right now, but I don't think we have it, or maybe something changed in last week. I didn't know. So once we got the devices in the VMs and we are able to test the device OSDs, The next thing we can do is just to run a real test and use the one part for OSD, and then we can delete the part and restart it, see if the cluster is still valid. But the configuration to have additional devices in a VM is beyond my personal control. So I would love to see how the CI set it up so we can really test it.
Yeah, we have, so to the best of my knowledge, in our CI environments, there are entries in the matrix that have devices attached to the VMs. So we have devices available during the tests, but somewhere, somehow, sometime, the integration tests stop using those devices. Everywhere where we have the option to, we just say don't use them. So there's some time in the history here we stopped using them, and I do not know why that happened. But in the CI environment, there should be devices available to be used at least.
That was in GCE, right?
Yeah, and in GCE.
I would like to kind of look into that with the device part there, kind of together with the K-Days Vagrant multi-node environment. If you can kind of port it to, Jenkins, or that we have multi-node for testing finally, and then also have either not only one device to test it with, but multiple devices, if even possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think with the devices that we get in the CI environment, I think we get more than one. But yeah, I don't know exactly how the setup of these instances. Using like that multi-node Vagrant solution, I think is a drastic change from how it's currently set up. So that would require a lot of thinking. I'm not sure exactly how that would work yet. I would have to think through that for a while.
Yeah, if we can at least have one node using the devices, though, to start with.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like if what we believe to be true, that the CI environment in GC has devices, then it should be a simple change of passing true to the function that sets up Ceph for the use devices argument, right? As opposed to just passing false every time. So that should be an incredibly simple change to get that going again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So are we? What's the plan there? Are we planning on doing that as part of the integration tests for the one OSD pod per device, or?
Yeah, if that's as simple as a flag, then we should just enable that, or attempt to enable that right now, because it's a big part of this is that feature. So I'll see if I can find that flag and just enable it. If not today, then Waman, maybe you could take that while I'm out for the next couple of days.
Yeah.
And then the integration test that you had already started, Travis, about restarting an OSD pod that was dependent upon Wyman's work here. Where is that? Is that being tracked?
Oh, that's not tracked here. That PR is still open, but that's right. It was just waiting for this PR, and I can't remember exactly why now, but yeah, it's in the open PR list.
So do you consider that PR, that bug that it's tracking, should that be in the 0.8 milestone?
I'm not sure if there was a bug. Let's see, where'd that PR go? 1768.
Yeah, my big concern here is that because we have such a significant amount of churn with OSDs and devices and such, that before we release, being able to do the vetting that we can in our continuous integration environment around that area would make me feel a lot more comfortable about the quality of the release going out.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah, and the just the testing of this OSD stuff, I think, is going to require a lot of either manual testing or, writing more integration tests to go through all of this. So do we have some of those things, or are we planning them?
Yeah, so this restart, the restart PR, that one, maybe we could just include it in the OSD per pod PR to run that at the same time before we merge. It's just a small PR. And making sure we have the integration test just enable the flag to use the devices, that one we need. And otherwise, I'm not sure how many new scenarios are needed in the integration tests because it's really the same scenarios. But I agree it needs lots of testing and multiple eyes on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I personally am committing to doing, a full test pass, a manual test pass on it, including upgrade, in my environments and see what I find. So I'm personally going to do that for sure. Travis, I assume you all can still see my screen here where I'm now editing the 1698 PR description. Do you already have a checklist item in here for integration tests and using devices and stuff like that? Because I'm just going to add one right now so we don't forget about it if it's not already there.
No, please add it.
Okay, cool. Yep. Cool. Okay, there we go. So it's tracked at least that way. Let it be tracked.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I feel better about that. And then, so we've got some. So it sounds like we have some agreement for what we're going to do for integration testing for this PR, and then also some manual testing commitments that you guys have already done. Travis, you're saying that it's starting to look good on your end, and I'm going to take a pass at it too. And I know Wyman's been testing for sure as well. So it seems like we're getting some agreement about the level of coverage here before we release this or merge it to master.
Okay, Jared. So Jared, you'll look at it in the branch before we merge.
Yes.
Right.
Before we merge. Yep.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay.
One thing about the 1656, I'm trying to take a look as soon as possible, and approve it then when it's fine for me.
Great, Alex. Yeah, your eyes on that are, you've got valuable eyes, so that would be very useful as well, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that covers everything that's in progress and in review. Let's take a quick discussion and look at things that are in the to-do column. I think that there are some items here that are nice to haves, but the ones that I think are absolutely necessary are the upgrade guide verification. The full end-to-end upgrade from 0.8 to 0.7 to 0.8. That's a blocker for the release for sure. The bottom one in that column about the failed monosert remind me again about that one. It's in a newer Ceph release or?
Yeah, so that one is just pending the next Luminous dot release, which sounds like it's a week or probably more like 2 weeks out at this point. They're just collecting all the PRs this week, merging them, and then it's a week to test pass, and then it's released. So if we're done with 0.8, well, and this one I don't see it as a blocker anymore since we added a check to recommend against multiple file systems anyway. This only hits if you have multiple file systems. And docs warn against multiple file systems. It's still possible to enable it, in which case this is not a good issue or blocks a lot of cases. So if we don't, I'd recommend we not block 0.8 on this.
Okay.
But when that comes out, a 0.1 release, I'd recommend that after it does come out. But the timing may work out anyway.
And so what do you think is the best way to track that, like a opportunistic pickup in a minor release type of thing? If the Luminous release is after 0.8?
How to track that?
Yeah. Do we just leave it on this board here? Like I think, like leave it in the project, and yeah, because
That makes sense to me.
okay, yeah, because as part of the our community agenda, we always have lingering issues from the previous milestone that we get together and discuss. So yeah, maybe that would work, I guess, to leave this in on the project, but not necessarily so clear the milestone tag though for now, so it doesn't completely block the initial release. You think?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay, so leave the project, clear the milestone. All right. This freaking issue. This is very, very annoying. And the last time we discussed about it with Ilya as well, the consensus was that our Jenkins instance is incredibly old, outdated, and has some legacy configuration on it, including the plugins. Ilya recommended to set up a new Jenkins environment without all that legacy configuration and outdated configuration, but that would be a fair investment, I think. And Ilya is out of town right now also, so I don't know if we have the right resources to do that immediately anyways. So I don't know of any really better ideas to address this than the kind of the babysitting that's necessary for when a PR is ready to merge and it gets a green build, to go ahead and merge it and not let it sit around. Is there any other better ways to approach this right now from the community?
So at least I think somebody either commented on a issue or posted something in a devs or test channel that we could also try.
Was that the same configuration that you already tried, Alex?
I'm not sure. As I only had web interface access, it's hard to tell because I think it's some configuration really in a file somewhere on the Jenkins. But if not, we should definitely, as Ilya suggested, redeploy it, to put it like that, set it up with the latest version. At least from the plugin wise, there are, I think, a few security points that, could be a concern depending on how we see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it doesn't seem like this blocks the release by any means. It's an inconvenience for sure.
Yeah, inconvenience with a capital I.
Yeah, definitely.
So 1733, I believe this was there. We had done a fix to address this, and I think it was a partial fix. That there's more to do here.
Yeah, so the last ticket that had that issue had some example. They were saying this is how you can repro it. So the fix in the last one fixed that specific corner case, but I didn't realize that there was more to the CC overwrite thing. So it looks like we know the path forward on that.
So just kind of to give an idea, I think we could potentially add the help wanted label here, because at least from my perspective, it's basically just checking if the pool the volume should be created in is erasure coded, and if it is, we would need to add one more flag with a value to the to the RBD create command. At least as far as I know right now.
So does this mean that you need to have two pools created for an RBD image, like one for its metadata and one for its data?
Yeah, if erasure coding is used. So to fix it, just in general point of what is missing here is just a flag that points to the data pool. But yes, it would require to have changes to the pool CRD then. It's not using erasure coded, one erasure coded a data pool and one for metadata, which is replicated. So
currently, with Tony's fix, when when a RBD, when we want to use erasure coding for a block image or RBD image, are we already doing the work to have both pools and we're just not passing the right flag, or we do not create the two pools necessary yet?
Well, if you create a pool CRD, you just get whatever that pool configuration is. Somebody else.
So then this has implications on the experience and, an extra pool creation and management and life cycle and things like that.
Yeah, that's kind of seeming to go in hand with an issue we have open about having some kind of pool templates or something like that.
So this sounds more difficult than just passing a flag, right?
Though you would still need to create two pools.
Okay.
So we would kind of need to change the documentation to, if you want to use erasure-coded RBD pool, you need to create two pools, and then some logic kind of combining both pools, the data pool and is correctly set. But still, I think it's a help wanted thing because, there needs to be a correlation at least in some way to tell RBD create, this is your data pool, and this is the normal metadata pool.
Do we have is there an easy manual workaround? Like, could we address this with docs only to say, hey, do this step and then everything will work? Or it does require a code change no matter what?
It requires a code change. The problem, as said, is during the RBD create, you need to give a set of flag, the data pool flag, and that is not done right now. And that is the problem here, to kind of work around it.
I see.
Yes, it definitely sounds more involved than a flag.
It's.
Yeah.
So as I said, the first part is just, adding the flag for this is the data pool, but still saying this is the metadata pool. We need to look further into it, how we can solve it without kind of changing the pool CRD too much also. Yeah.
Well, does this need to be in 0.8, or this was an optimistic based on that being a small issue?
To kind of say it from my perspective there, the thing we should change then is change the documentation, so at least the manifests we currently provide, to not use erasure coding by default. Because I think some manifests we provide are using erasure coding by default, and currently it's broken because of that, and a good amount of users are running into it.
And so erasure coding is supported for correctly and fully for object storage. Is that right?
Right.
So it's CFFS and RBD are the ones that have issues still.
Well, CFFS is fine. I think we're just talking RBD
So
now.
Only RBD.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Just already having a metadata and another pool.
Well, if we're adding the help wanted tag, that means we don't have an owner for it today, which means it shouldn't be in the 0.8 milestone.
It's not in the milestone. I think it's only or
the project.
In the project, yeah, nice to have. And then in that way we track it as well.
If we can get it in like in, I don't know, 0.81 or something later on, if we have the time, then it would be good, because as long as we update the docs and samples before 0.8, the docs are updated then. So people don't run into it too often. As I said, right now I think the default is erasure coding for file system and or block storage too. Not 100% sure there, but we should take a look to at least document it in some way. That's currently a bit broken for block storage, to put it like that. But we're looking into it.
Yeah, I could see it in the .1, just not blocking 0.8.
Well, we'll leave it on this board right now. And then 1751, that's the only one we haven't talked about.
Yeah, so that one, I actually almost have it changed locally, just haven't finished it off yet. So it added it optimistically to the milestone. It doesn't need to be in 0.8 because the focus needs to be on one OSD per pod.
All right, so it's not, yeah, okay, so it's not in the milestone right now.
Right.
Excellent. Okay, sounds good. Let's move along then. A lot of discussion there on the 0.8 milestone, but yeah, we need to continue driving towards getting all the features completed for 0.8, and then also B, keeping the quality at a sufficient level in order to release.
Right. Well, can we talk about timeline for a minute? Because I think it'd be nice to say let's target a certain date to be done with everything in master, and then a testing effort basically at that point.
Yeah, sure. So what are you thinking? Because I think the long poles are the 1 OSD per pod per device, and then maybe the OpenShift stuff too. But what do you think? Those are.
Yeah. Well, in the OpenShift and the security model, the security model I'd like to get in. That needs to get in pretty soon. OpenShift I don't think is a blocking issue. I mean, it's not risky by any means. I mean, so it just enables a new environment. I feel like, can we target by end of week? Optimistically, maybe more likely early next week to have most of this in. My challenge is how much might need to happen in the middle of my move, but I'll probably be online here and there.
Well, so what do you guys think? Since you and Wyman are the owners of this ticket, know the progress the best. What do you think about the timeline?
I think if Wyman, if you can really do some testing there, and today, we'll see if we can find this test flag, which we talked about.
Okay.
And
we will also go ahead and test it again in the multi-node environment. So we can ensure that too.
Mm-hmm. So if we say by, maybe by next Tuesday, we say that that's our goal for everything in, and then testing maybe to talk about a release at our next meeting. And maybe even sooner, depending on how it goes. But there's some, big changes coming in here. Our next meeting, that'd be, what is that, July 2nd or so? The 3rd, yeah.
Oh, is that the day before Independence Day?
Yeah, so we run into scheduling or challenges frequently that week.
All right, so you were saying that you think about. You're just saying that you all think that you could have sort of ready for testing with all the features and the CI kind of running by end of week or early next week, you said?
Right. Yeah. And then with the goal, I'd say the goal being even a release, by July 3rd. I'd like to set that goal at least.
Okay.
Sort of feature complete next Tuesday, and then the following week release. Any other perspective on that goal or thoughts?
Let's go. Let's go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So it's I think that as we're kind of converging on this release, getting, all hands on what can be, on where we can all help out on getting the quality and everything completed is going to be pretty important. So it sounds like Alex is ready for that. I'm ready for that. So we can, as a team and a community, get everything ready to, have a smooth release.
Mm-hmm. Great.
So we already talked about this one, I believe, correct?
Yes, we already did. Yep.
Oh gosh, Control-Z that one. Okay. How about this, Alex? You're saying with users that have issues mounting big volumes.
Yeah, this is more of a question to the SAF people. If it is known that big volumes, take a long time to mount and or map. It's just more of like a finding to bring up here. If something is may known, and if not, we seem to have a problem there.
So I think the big unknown there was that, from my recollection, that what was taking a long time was the map operation. I could be remembering that incorrectly, and it could be something further downstream. But I have confidence that it's RBD map that was taking a long time, and I recall that that was not well known that could sometimes take a long time. So it seemed like it was something unique to our experiences. Does anyone else have an idea about that?
Well, and I was thinking it was suspected that MakeFS was the long pull too, but I think I can't remember anything concrete either. Beyond, I don't know how much speculation there versus.
Do we have like recent logs from this? Because that would answer that pretty quickly.
I'm not sure. Dan, did you look at this at least briefly, or any insight there? Is Dan there? Maybe not.
No, I just saw some conversation indicated that someone had noticed that they get that taking time, but it was 8 months ago.
Oh, that was really hard to hear. Can you say that one more time?
I noticed some speculation from one of the people at Pittsburgh preventing the problem, and they were pointing to their own logs, but it was only in the context of a bug comment someplace. I don't even know where it was. I think we have to reproduce this, is the thing.
Right. Has anybody in this group reproduced it? Not that I know of. So, yeah.
At the time yet. I could look into it as I have the space to test it out.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So if it is an RBD map that's taking a long time, let's just make an assumption that that's what's happening. Is there a suggestion from any of the SEF experts on where to debug or look further into that specifically?
So if you're doing an RBD map with the kernel RBD client, then there are like logging hooks in the kernel for that. I don't know them off the top of my head, but that's where you'd have to go.
So would that show up in like dmessage or somewhere else? Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, so having reproducing this issue and either getting recent logs from the agent side to confirm what operation is taking a long time, and then B, being able to dig down into that further is what we need to do. We can only speculate so much in this conversation.
I can just add a little bit to the speculation that
Good.
One pathological case is if somebody has a very unhealthy or unavailable cluster of OSDs, then the RBD client may simply block until it can access the underlying Rados cluster. So if they have a seriously unhealthy cluster, then that might manifest itself as my RBD operation took a long time. But if it's only happening with particularly large RBD images, then that wouldn't apply.
I see. That's a good point. Yeah, there's a lot of I/O operations that can just hang if the cluster itself is very unhealthy state.
And the last thing I noticed from reading that the Rook issue 1280 was that somebody was pointing out that deleting volumes is slow too, and that definitely is true because deleting the objects in an RBD image is a order n operation if they've been written to.
Right. Beyond just the SEP issues, if you have an operation which can be very time consuming, it might be worth looking at, can we separate the phases of return, how long it takes to complete. So like the volume's available, but the file system isn't created upon it yet. That is essentially lumping stuff is inviting your storage vendor to take it a long time to do some operations.
Yeah, I think with this particular scenario, it's through the Flex Volume plugin, and there's only, a set hook in there that all the operations need to be completed in before you return back to the kubelet. So I don't know if there are good opportunities to be able to improve that, especially with the moving to CSI and Flex Volume not having any more support going forward at all.
Yeah, but if, for example, if your definition of what you're doing includes creating a file system on top of raw storage, well, that's not going to be fast.
Yeah, that is a good point, Caitlin. All right, so we will follow up on a reproducible instance to figure out more there. Alex, your multi-node dev environment I like how you crossed out Mac for everyone. So that's what's the status on that now? Travis, you've been using that too, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been using it. It's been very helpful.
I also fixed like 3 days ago a network issue, so it should now work as intended. And yeah, well, it seems to work on Mac. The only people left out are Windows users. But
do we have any Windows users in the Rook community? Like the development environment is Windows?
Well, the thing is more that probably if you use something like Cygwin, to simulate a Linux, or at least have make and vagrant command, it should also work. But I am not going to try it because I don't use Windows to code. So
yeah, I don't have an environment for that either.
I mean, isn't there Bash supported on Windows now or something?
The problem is
the Windows feature.
It's a bit more than just Bash. It's using kubectl, vagrant, I think set at 1.2. Oh no, I moved it into the CentOS. If someone has this case, he should speak now, or he should go create an issue and we'll look into it then.
Yeah, I could confidently say that our lack of conclusive evidence for it working on Windows or not would not hold this progress on this up. So Alex, are you thinking about like integrating it into the Rook repo or keeping it on its own isolated, its own repository, or what do you think?
I'll keep it separated so I can develop it further, but I'm going to tag it. So basically what I thought about, we have this minikube.sh script, which kind of sets up the minikube environment for us, like loading images and stuff into it. And what I thought about is simply creating kind of the same script, but checking out the K-Days Vagrant multi-node repository, then starting up the cluster, running the make commands to then set up the environment for us. So basically like the minikube sh script.
Oh, okay. So like a driver script for it from the Rook repo, but the logic still living in its own independent repo.
Yeah. But tagged so that it's still,
yeah, that's perfect. That's perfectly fine. And then that was, a really, really impressive effort, Alex, to have that, a multi-node, multi-disk, configurable environment to run Kubernetes in the development laptops. That was really big to be able to just whip that out. So I know Travis and I are pretty grateful.
You may need to upgrade your machines, though. At least my big workstation has no problem starting like 10 VMs at a time. But
Well, multi just means more than one. I don't have to go all the way up to 10.
And I continue to use Sebastian's thing built on top of GitSpray for the exact same purpose. So
yes, that's been working for you. That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, definitely. That was a great effort from Sebastian as well. Definitely. For us Mac losers, this Vagrant solution is going to be very helpful. All right, that's great. Then I had an item about, so as you mentioned earlier in this meeting, the cockroach DB operator has been merged into master, and we only have one master build after that has published the new container images for cockroach DB. They have a tag of dirty, implying that on the build machine during the build, there is a change in the tree that's happening during build time, and so that's what's causing the tag to be dirty, meaning that the working copy has changes in it. And I cannot reproduce this locally when I try to build, and I cannot connect to the Jenkins instance. Does anyone have ideas about how possibly to figure out what the cause of this is?
And this is the first build with the dirty tag?
Yeah, there's only one build with the dirty tag, and it's the commit hash of my merge from Cockroach, so we know exactly who did this.
So it's your fault. Okay.
Yes, precisely.
Yeah, I think you need to go SSH into there and look at and get diff or get status.
Do you, Bassam, have the connection credentials or certificate for the AWS instances?
Yeah, I think I do somewhere.
Okay, I'll follow up with you offline then. Thank you. All right, and then the PRs that Alex is annotating right now.
Yeah, it's kind of, there are mostly, smaller changes. At least the one from Sage is weirdly also having, with the working CI, to put it like that, a failure. So I'll ping him again. This one's already done as written. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for this one, I'm going to wait a few more days and then try to see if he's still going to pick it up and fix it now as we discussed it. If not, I'll pick it up because that's one of those which, kind of helps us. I think some users were running into, I'm using cluster name. No, it's cluster namespace, or, yeah. The other one with the home chart would be good to get in before 0.8 just to, get the feature in. Yeah.
Is there a tracking ticket for this one?
No, I don't think so.
Looks like it had a merge conflict too, so it need to be.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of where I ping to all older PRs just to, clear up the queue because.
Yeah, that's awesome, Alex.
Definitely
appreciate that effort from you.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Sage's.
And this one is ready. It's just the unconfigured Jenkins, right?
It's It's our correct one. It's not the one with the other Avid profile picture, at least. If you scroll down.
Has an actual build issue?
Yeah, it seems so. Because the other ones have this other logo picture, that have failed.
Yeah, passing a new flag.
And was there any discussion or about the fix itself, or is it just an assessment that of the green checks or red X's?
Well, Sage is, as far as I know, Ceph expert. So, yeah.
No, I mean, I was just wondering if had there been any discussion about the fix. I don't have any background information.
I don't think so.
I think we can talk about it probably tomorrow in the container huddle, Travis and the others, and talk about it if it's reasonable to do. But yeah, at least from my perspective, I said, it's from Sage, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sage is okay. He's all right. Cool. Okay. So that was everything we had on the agenda here. So the big thing is still driving for the 0.8 milestone. And we discussed that pretty heavily, so no need to continue harping on that one. Were there any other agenda items that did not make it to the stock that people wanted to bring up now? All right.
One last thing. It's not a, it's already on a list, but the 1540 multi-node dev environment for Mac, it is already assigned to Carol Kosobal. I didn't just get a reply from him in 11 days. So the question is, should I just, assign it to me and create that script now, or should I still?
Yeah, I don't think that, the last time I talked to Carol, I don't think that that he had made any significant progress on this, and I think the solution that you had came up with is very good. So I think, and since you have momentum on it, I would go ahead and say that you can take this over.
Okay, good. I'll assign it to me.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do it right now.
Thank you. Oh, Jared, by the way, with the cleanup PR I made, I'll also look into it. Just, conference this week and, tomorrow presentation, so funny week.
Funny week. Funny haha.
Yeah, good. Everything from that done.
Alrighty, then we can go ahead and wrap it up. Then thank you everybody for the discussion today. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Have a good day.
Take care.